The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The transparency server for the May 9 elections will be transferred to the University of Santo Tomas from its previous location in Pope Pius Catholic Center in UN Avenue, Manila. Speaking at yesterday's Laging Handa briefing, PPCRV Chairman Emeritus Tita De Villa said that this is to ensure that health protocols are followed. Meanwhile, COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said they will be holding an alignment meeting with the members of the media next week to discuss the transfer of the server. Former MMDA Assistant Secretary Celine Pialago announced that she is now a nominee of the Frontliners Ang Bida party list. This after her initial group, the Malasakit Movement party list, was removed by the COMELEC from the official ballot. In a Facebook post, Pialago threw shade at a certain COMELEC commissioner who supposedly rejected the Malasakit movement. And Pialago then assured her supporters that the new party has the same principles as her former group. And she says the Frontliners Ang Bida party list aims to support frontliners and provide them a decent life. The TikTok user accused of posting a death threat against presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos has surrendered to the NBI. The suspect, whose name is Ruel Bong Ricafort, denies that he was the one who posted the supposed assassination plot. Ricafort says he is also a victim, as someone else is using the account under his name. And he also says that he is willing to undergo a lie detector test to prove his innocence. Marx Jr.'s camp says they will leave the investigation to the NBI.
I just have to get all the facts ready and straight first before we make our next move on whether a filing of the case for prosecution is in order.
Here's a rundown of the activities of presidential and vice presidential bets this day 3 of the campaign period. The BBM Sara Unity team will be parting ways today, with former Senator Bongbong Marcos heading to Valenzuela, while Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte will visit Cabanatuan. Vice President Leni Robredo, on the other hand, will finally leave Bicol and will attend various sorties around Batangas. Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno will make rounds in Laguna starting 10 a.m. today. And the Lacson Soto tandem will be meeting the press in Green Hills as the Partido Reforma senatorial candidates Dr. Mingita Padilla, former PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar, and former Makati Representative Monsur Del Rosario are expected to join the event. The Philippines is welcoming fully vaccinated foreign tourists into the country starting today. That is why the Tourism Department is confident that the sector can recover from the effects of the pandemic. The Tourism Congress of the Philippines says they have received inquiries from North American, European, and Middle Eastern tourists. This as long-haul markets have more relaxed travel rules compared to Asia. And although Tourism Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat admits that even if the industry reopens, that doesn't mean tourists can automatically start arriving at our shores.
Hindi naman yan agad-agad dadating, but what is important is that we are open. Kasi if we do not say that we are open, hindi rin naman sila mag-i-inquire. So it's always important that we are open. These are the protocols in place. Protocols are in place, and that we are ready to reopen to our tourist destinations.
Select schools in Metro Manila resumed face-to-face classes on Wednesday as the region shifted back to Alert Level 2. Shaila Francisco with the story.
Days after the government lowered COVID-19 alert levels, select schools finally resumed face-to-face classes after more than a month. Over in Pedro Cruz Elementary School in San Juan, teachers had to keep reminding their students to follow health protocols, as students from kinder to grade 3 were already preoccupied with activities on the first day. After a half day of classes, kids went home satisfied.
Mas gusto mo sa school o mas gusto mo sa bahay ngayon?
Gusto ko sa school.
Bakit gusto mo sa school ngayon?
Kasi mas masaya.
Ano ang pinakamasayang part ng classes mo ngayon?
Science.
Science. Bakit science?
Nag-drawing po kami.
Parents, meanwhile, were also happy that kids finally get a sense of the old normal.
Sa mga magulang din, nahirapan din kami na rin talaga sa mga bata kung paano yun ituturo yung ng teacher. Sa mga bata naman, tinatanong namin, gustong-gusto na rin nila talaga. Kasi parang na rin sila yung nabubor na sila sa bahay.
Compared to the initial start of physical classes in December, the school saw an increase in enrollees. They attribute this to pediatric vaccinations.
Marahil ang naging dahilan ng pagtaas ay mas tumaas yung confidence level noong mga magulang dahil na-introduce na ng city government natin ang vaccination para sa mga bata.
Soon, more grade levels can also start conducting face-to-face classes, as the Education Department has approved the progressive expansion of in-person classes beginning Wednesday. The agency, however, admits that the COVID situation is still limiting the expansion phase. Out of more than 6,600 schools that passed safety assessment, only 304 were given the green light after shifting to alert levels 1 and 2.
We are studying the effect of the resumption of classes and learning from it. We can all the learnings that we can apply pagka sakaling dumami na yung schools.
DepEd says while the resumption of classes is gradual, they are confident that it will help improve the education situation amid the pandemic. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
The Food and Drug Administration has now authorized the local production of Molnupiravir. This means the antiviral drug will become more accessible and cheaper. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the story.
The Philippines can soon expect a more affordable Molnupiravir. The Food and Drug Administration granted emergency use authorization to Lloyd Laboratories to locally produce the pill. FDA OIC Director Oscar Gutierrez said that while there have been approved imported brands, supply remains limited.
Yung una nating na-approve, yung Molnars, 3 batches po yung pinarating sa atin, pero bawat batch po, mga 60,000 lang yun. Mga 1,500 patients lang po yung bawat batch.
Gutierrez added the local firm can manufacture 1 million capsules a year, enough for 25 to 50,000 COVID-19 patients. Once it begins production, the drug will be sold for 30 to 50% less than branded ones. Molnupiravir is an oral treatment for mild to moderate COVID-19 patients, where 8 capsules are taken orally for 5 days, a total of 40 capsules.
Mga 100 to 150 po per capsule po ang Molnupiravir. Ang Lloyd ay i-market niya siguro between 50 to 75 pesos na lang per capsule.
Pharma giant Merck had previously given its patent to generic companies to help low-income countries produce it. However, products given an EUA can only be bought by the national government.
I-deliver po ito ng DOH sa mga health facilities and healthcare provider. Sila po ang magpo-provide dito sa mga pasyente.
Meanwhile, the FDA approved the emergency use of more brands of Molnupiravir, aside from Faberco's Molnars and MedEthics Molnuflu. The agency also mentioned Pfizer has submitted its EUA application for Paxlovid, which is now under evaluation. There are now at least 6 brands of COVID-19 drug that have emergency use approval from the FDA. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, we are One News.
The Oscars nominees are in, and surprisingly, House of Gucci star Lady Gaga was snubbed in the Best Actress category. MJ Marfori has the details.
The Academy is keeping us on our toes after it announced the 2022 Oscar nominations on Tuesday. The ultimate shocker, Lady Gaga's exclusion in the Best Actress list for her role in House of Gucci. This, despite securing nods at the BAFTA, Critics' Choice, and SAG Awards. But the Academy went on a different route, nominating Kristen Stewart instead for her portrayal of Princess Diana in Spencer. Stewart was earlier shut out by SAG. She will be competing with other nominees, Jessica Chastain, Olivia Colman, Nicole Kidman, and Penelope Cruz.
Since our first run together, 19.
Meanwhile, leading in the number of nominations is The Power of Dog, which got 12, including Best Picture and Best Director, among others. Coming in second is Dune with 10 nods. Films West Side Story and Belfast are tied with 7 nominations. The awarding ceremony will take place in March. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
Time now for a quick look at some of today's headlines. As the election campaign continues, eyes are now on the common senatoriables who have started to make appearances for different parties. Albay Representative Joey Salceda, a known Duterte ally, endorses presidential candidate VP Leni Robredo. And Vice Presidential candidate Lito Atienza says he won't be part of the cabinet if ever he is elected. Instead, he would like to be a, quote, a super assistant. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us later at 11 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can catch One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.